Visiting with Natrona County head coach Steve Harshman ahead of our WyoPreps fan-chosen game of the week as the third-ranked Mustangs travel to Gillette to take on the top-ranked Thunder Basin Bolts. And, Coach, obviously you got a huge win last week. I know I talked with you when you were down in Laramie a couple weeks ago. What more did your team show you in that double overtime victory against East versus what you've seen so far early in the season?
I think we just kept battling back. I think we're getting a little more depth, and our young guys are starting to play like they're a little older now, and I think we just kept battling. East is a good team, and they're well coached, and they certainly got theirs, but we kept battling back, and we never did trail in the game. We were tied a couple times, but just really proud of our guys. I just think we're just getting better. We're getting in better shape. Our fundamentals are getting better, and we're getting more experience. So I think we're just playing a little better.
Was it a case where you felt you've improved on the line? Was it execution? Is there anything really that you can kind of point to in terms of a big matchup like that?
Yeah, I think our special teams was an edge for us, where at Sheridan a few weeks before that, it was certainly a detriment to us, and I think we've made massive improvement there. And I think, I think our line play is improving all the time. I think we're getting more depth at D-line, but I also think our young skill guys, we're getting more depth at defensive back and receiver as well, and even running back. We've been without Dante Wallace now for 2 out of the last 3 weeks, and so we've developed some other guys who really stepped up there and done a nice job. So I think it's kind of in a lot of different areas, just part of that growth. I think a lot of teams continue to get better throughout the season, and hopefully we continue to do that.
You mentioned Dante, and I know he's such a key part of what you like to do, but what have you seen from guys around him that have stepped up their game?
Well, like last week, we had 3 different guys really running the football, and they all did a really nice job. Wills Jackson broke like a 60-yard run for a touchdown, and so he did a nice job. Another senior, David Miller, just really dependable, did a nice job for us. And then Braxton Bundy, a junior, came in the second half and kind of had a little burst of energy and speed, and I think provided kind of a different pace and different look for East defense. So kind of between those 3 guys, I think have done a pretty nice job.
I know when I talked with you when you were in Laramie, you knew that you had young guys in the skill spots outside of maybe a Dante Wallace who's had experience and a lot of playing time the last couple of years at running back. What have you seen in the development of those young skill guys that's maybe allowed them to kind of raise their level even more in the last few games?
Well, I think it's like anything, the more you do this and the better you be. What is Phil saying? 10,000 times, 10,000 reps to become an expert, And so there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of overcoming mistakes and learning from your mistakes. That's what this process is all about, is continue to get better. And so I see in a lot of different areas, from just kind of their savvy with more experience on how to run routes and get open, those kind of things. I think our catching has improved dramatically. And you can just see the look of confidence in their face. We don't have that kind of, I don't know. I've coached long enough, I guess. You can kind of see it and feel it almost in guys. And I think our guys are really wearing their confidence, and you can just see it in them. They're starting to feel pretty good about what they're doing.
This is your third big game here in the last stretch of games. You mentioned the Sheridan game, then obviously last week against East. Now you get Thunder Basin. Do you like these kind of big matchups? I know you just mentioned you've been around a long time coaching at Natrona County. Do you kind of get yourself geared up for these big matchups?
Well, that's the fun part about it. Football, you don't play as many games like baseball or basketball. And so, and you really see it at all levels. Each week it gets bigger than the week before. And that you get this build up, and it starts all kind of coming to a head at the end. And so we're right in the middle of that. And there's just nothing funner, I think. And it's good for kids. That's why we do it. It's such a great educational piece for kids to develop confidence and just that toughness and the perseverance to kind of keep battling, with their teammates. And so it's a great skill set for kids. It's a ton of fun. I mean, that deal last Friday, I said to one of my assistants, Coach Schuette's been here since 91 with me. I said, hey, win, lose, or draw, we're a lot better team than we were 3 hours ago, and I think East can probably say the same thing about it. It's just a great experience for kids, and So, it's just part of that growing and learning piece. And so hopefully we can continue that.
What are your thoughts on this big matchup as you get ready to take on top-ranked Thunder Basin Friday night?
Part of this deal is how you do match up. And I think, they're real similar to Cheyenne East in a lot of ways, but their quarterback is really a good player, talented, and they've got one big-time receiver, a little bit different than the Al Miller at Cheyenne East, but he's a good player. And then I think, but they've got a nice tight end, big kid, and they've got a couple running backs that are really good. And I'd say their line is maybe a little more experienced than Cheyenne East, but those two guys had quite a game. Came down, I think, a 31-30 game, several lead changes. So they're a kind of similar team to Cheyenne East in a lot of ways. Spread you out on offense and a lot of speed and a lot of skill.
Does that help you kind of going back-to-back with similar type opponents to get your team ready so you don't have to, do some sort of massive change for a different type of system?
Yeah, I think each week is its own week, but I think, I think our guys, they're enjoying it and enjoying this part of the year, and it's a lot of fun. That's the beauty of football. It's the getting ready piece. That's a lot of fun, and you got to enjoy it. And I think our guys are starting to get better at that. They're starting to get better at how they watch film and how they get ready and how they kind of learn the things that we know about Thunder Basin. There'll be some surprises they'll throw on us, but we got to make sure we learn the things and know the things we know. And our guys are starting to figure that out. And so, I think it's just that time of the season. So absolutely, I think it's good, and it just keeps on building.
Coach Harshman, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck against the Bolts in Gillette on Friday night.
Yeah, thank you. It's great talking to you. Appreciate it.
Visiting with Trent Pikula, the head coach of the Thunder Basin Bolts, who are number one in the latest WyoPreps.com coaches and media football rankings for the third straight week. They've got a big one taking place Friday night against third-ranked Natrona County, who's coming off a double overtime victory against Cheyenne East. And I know, Coach, I talked to you a couple weeks ago. You've had big wins over Cheyenne East, over Sheridan, and now you get a third big challenge from another of the top four. Talk a little bit about what you've learned from your squad after seeing them and how they competed in wins against Cheyenne East and Sheridan.
I think first and foremost is that we think we're a pretty good football team. We weren't exactly sure with our inexperience up front where we would be, but both those games showed us, that we could get some things done up front. Against East, we were down by 16 in the fourth quarter. We were able to stick together. We played for each other. We could have folded tent and just gave that game up, but we kept battling, got the ball back with a little over a minute to go and drove it down and kicked the field goal to win it. So that was a huge win for us, especially being on the road. And then the Sheridan game, Sheridan, I felt like we played a lot better even than what the score showed. I mean, we gave up a interception for a touchdown. We gave up a kick return for a touchdown. Our defense really only gave up 2 drives, one for a touchdown, one for a field goal. Other than that, they had either it was a touchdown that we gave them or an extremely short field. So, in that game, I just felt like we really came out offensively and defensively and played extremely well. It was just that third phase that kind of hurt us there. So that gave us a lot of hope is to say, we didn't play very well. We were a very good football team. So we're excited about what the future holds and where we can go from here.
Obviously, as a coach, you're never satisfied with where you're at. So what areas are you focusing on in terms of improvement, Coach?
Well, offensively, we still have to figure out how to run the ball a little bit better. I'd like to see us average 5 to 6 yards to carry every game. When there was against East and against Sheridan, we didn't get over 100 yards rushing. And so, against Campbell County, we came out and ran the ball for almost 200 yards. So that felt really good. But we have to still continue up front to make sure that we understand what the front is bringing us, where the blitzers are coming from, and just communicate as a group. The offensive line has to be the most cohesive unit on the field, and we've worked guys in and out. We've had some injuries, and so that's taken a little bit, but we have to get better there. But defensively, we started off the year extremely strong as far as getting after the quarterback with our front four, not having to blitz a whole lot. The last couple of games, we've struggled with that. So now I think we just have to get back to applying the kind of pressure that we need to get the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket.
Obviously, and I talked with you about this last time we visited a few weeks back. A lot of the times the skill guys get the headlines, but you were talking about your lines back then. Have you noticed any group of players or individual players that you really felt that have stepped up in terms of their performance has allowed you to maybe or helped you maybe the most win those big games?
Well, I think defensively, Dalton McInerney he's a big 285-pound senior. He's got second in the state in the heavyweight wrestling last year. We just weren't sure what he was going to be able to give us this year. He's a great wrestler, extremely strong, but just didn't get a lot of reps for us last year. And he stepped into his role as a senior, kind of taking that on, and he is extremely tough to block. Just a big, strong kid, and he's gotten our Defensive Player of the Week twice now in 5 games, and so he's been a real nice surprise defensively. And then I think our 2 defensive ends, actually we have 3. We have Dice Shepard, who's a junior, Cameron Durgan, a senior, and Gavin Carroll, who's a junior. And those 3 guys have really kind of helped us on the edge, both in the run game and the pass game, just doing a nice job, doing what they're coached to do. Offensively, we started the season without our lone returning starter was Alec Earhart. He had knee surgery, and he came back for the Campbell County game. And so it's really nice to have him back in the mix, just a leader on the line. Having him back there kind of solidifies some things for us. But really, all 5 of our offensive linemen have really kind of come into their own these last few weeks, and they've been making improvements and allowing us to, especially in the pass game, they're giving Mason some time, and we're able to hit some receivers.
Obviously now a third big game in the last 4 weeks, and then you throw in a rivalry game in there as well with your crosstown rival there at Campbell County. What is that like in terms of kind of this gauntlet of bang, 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 and now it's Natrona County that you're getting ready for? With
our team, we talk about every week is the biggest game of the season, regardless of who we play. We try to prepare every week the same. We talk about every game has playoff implications for us. We have the number 1 seed right now. We want to keep it. Obviously, Natrona wants that as well. If they can beat us and continue what they're doing, that's going to bode well for them. So it's hard in the fact that it's hard on me because, a little bit of stress when you're having to play those types of games, right. Preparation throughout the week and just the nerves and things that I experience as a coach. The kids they just take it in stride. I think they love the opportunity to play big games. And so it's been nice to have, it's kind of a tough stretch for us, like you said, just with those 3 teams, and then you throw our crosstown in there. But I think it doesn't give us a chance to let down because we know we have to be on our game every Friday night, and every practice is just as important as the last one.
It's always that moniker that coaches talk about, that it takes kids less time to get over a game than it does the coaches. There's no doubt about that. But
absolutely.
Talk about Natrona County. What do you look at when you see Coach Harshman's squad this year and this matchup coming up on Friday night?
What I see on film, defensively, they got a lot of quickness. In their linebacking core, they come downhill on you in a hurry. I think their 4 guys up front get off the ball extremely well. The East game, even though East was able to throw for almost 400 yards, Graydon was running and throwing the ball off the run a lot because they got so much pressure. So they're extremely quick off the edge. They like to get the quarterback uncomfortable. Offensively, you got to deal with Taubert and with Dante. Those 2 guys are experienced. Obviously, they had a couple of great years last year, and they're continuing that. They run a lot of stuff with the quarterback where he can read and keep it if he needs to, and hand it off to Dante if he needs to. But they've also built in a little bit more of a passing game this year than they did last year. So they're a little more multidimensional than they were when we saw them last year. It was a great game we played with them last year. It just came down to 1 touchdown. But so I think it's just in the past, I think they've been extremely physical and a lot bigger than they are this year. This year, I think that quickness and speed plays a little more into their hand.
Well, I appreciate the time, Coach. Best of luck Friday night, and I know I'll talk to you down the road.
All right, I appreciate it, David. Thank you.